Well, how are you doing? Welcome to the stream. My mic boom is. I think I need a new mic boom. It does this. That's not good. This is not a good thing. Maybe I should set it up like I always do. maybe that's easier. Although this is also I need a new mic boom. Don't have any money. Hey, Indy, how are you doing? How are things? Well, I'm back at recording a podcast. That is what we are doing tonight. So I suggest, as usual ground rules apply and all that. But I guess we just get started, right? Let's see if this all works. Wait, what? Why is that so small? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Da-da-dum. 1, 2. Seems good. All right. Indy, you are right today because we're talking about indie games developers today. It's going to be today's topic. So that should be right up your alley. Yeah. And I the Domina guy, I guess you've probably heard that story. But I think it's very interesting. It's a very... It's consumer related, has a twist that not many people have thought about. But anyway, let's get into this. I'll just start the show, and then I'll record it in one go, hopefully, and then I'm out of your hair. I don't know if I can actually record another episode this week. I'm gonna try. I need to do a hell of a lot of episodes to catch up. But I don't know yet, and I don't know when yet. So there will be no scheduled streams in the foreseeable future because I'm not. It's just not possible. I can't do that at the moment. I'm sorry. But anyway, enough excuses. Let's record a podcast here. Let's do this. Let's go. You're listening to The Private Citizen, episode 124, for Monday, the 19th of September. I'm going to have to do that again. Fuck it. Let's stop the tape. Let's do it live. Fuck it. We'll do it live. You're listening to The Private Citizen. This is episode 124 for Monday, the 19th of September, 2022. When doing the right thing actually isn't. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. My name is Fab, and I'm recording this live in Düsseldorf on the River Rhine. How are you doing? I say live because I will stream these live. Well, not always, whenever I can. And it's a Monday. The schedule's all out of whack. I'll get into that in a minute. Everything's broken, and I'm trying to fix it. Well, which is kind of, in tune with the rest of the world, I guess. So tonight, whatever time it is for you, wherever you are, we're going to talk about a video game story. which is, you might have heard of the Domina controversy. That's a good name, isn't it? The Domina controversy. And yeah, we're going to talk about that and some, kind of, I don't know, my take on it, which is from the consumer perspective, which I think has been largely neglected, with people, talking about this, writing about this, and generally, I just want to generally say something about entertainment and the world and all of that, maybe. But before we get into that main topic, I need to address why I haven't done an episode in quite a while. And I'm calling this the big internet outage leads to scheduling hell disaster, which is what happened. I do apologize for missing this many episodes, for missing scheduled releases and everything. So what happened? It all started on a Wednesday. I was prepping for a show. I was actually sitting there finishing the show notes when suddenly at like 3 p.m. in the afternoon, my internet just died. And I had no idea what had happened. Long story short, I figured out, although Telecom wouldn't tell me that this was the problem, but I met the people working on the problem because they were smoking outside my office. So I opened the window and I'm like, hey guys, they looked like internet technicians, like from the stuff they were wearing, the tools they had on their belt and stuff like that. I was like, are you working on the internet outage? And they said, yes. So that's when I learned what was actually happening. So what happened is that there's many construction sites around here at the moment. They're rebuilding the whole quarter, basically. They're gentrifying everything and building new houses and everything. And on the building site, on the other side of the road, it's like across the block, whatever. There's a lot of Bulgarian builders. Not that I want to specifically blame Bulgarian builders, but maybe they're a bit more unbureaucratic than German builders, I guess. So what had happened? They used a digging machine, like a big cat, to dig holes, and they dug somewhere where they shouldn't have. And they dug through my fiber cable. Well, not mine, Telecom's fiber cable, which is brand new. Which I only got on earlier in the in the year. Indie Gaming X in Twitch chat, by the way, as I mentioned, as I'm doing this live, says building coffee shops. Yeah, they haven't built a coffee shop yet. They're building something, and I hope there's going to be a coffee shop in there because I badly need a coffee shop, and the gentrification needs it as well. You're correct. But anyway, so they dug throughout my internet cable. I'm calling it my internet cable because I'm apparently the only one who uses it, because I'm the only one who figured out that it was broken. I figured it out, obviously, the moment it broke. And because I have a business account, I called up Telecom. I would have called them up anyway. Deutsche Telekom, that's my ISP. So they were the lady I talked to was very surprised that I called them up this quickly, and I said, I have a business account, I need this for work. And I figured out that apparently in this whole new work, everybody working from home situation, apparently I'm the only one who actually, at least around here, who actually needs the internet for work. I think everybody else is just, maybe that's because I actually work from home and I'm not like, oh yeah, I'm working in air quotes. I don't know. Anyway, long story short, they fixed it relatively quickly. It took them 3 days, which, for a partially severed fiber cable is good turnaround. And in the game X says I'm King Gentry. Apparently I'm King Internet or something. I don't know. I really need, for everything I do, I need the internet, right? All the time. So including what I'm doing right now. So it took 3 days, which that in itself actually wasn't that bad. I still have some video games I can play when the internet's off, so that's kind of cool. So I had stuff to do. I could do some research, but I couldn't really work. So the first downside is that this happened right while I was prepping a show. I was literally, preparing to live record that show on that Wednesday. And that didn't happen. But you could have said, okay, yeah, well, just do it 3 days after. The problem is that all the work I couldn't do because I didn't have the internet piled up. And I have a lot of shit going on right now. Like I've really got too many things going on at once. Which, is kind of because, power prices here in Germany have risen like 30, like my power company literally increased the price by 30%. Everything going shopping, everything's like 3 times as expensive. I'm going to have an episode on that at some point as well, because we need to talk about Ukraine, but let's not talk about that today. And the whole geopolitical situation. But so, I'm trying to take on all the work I can do, which means I'm like booked completely. Then when you get like 3 days of not being really able to work, and like the whole, it wasn't even only the workload, it was like the scheduling got all out of whack. And the other problem was that like last week, so that was 2 weeks ago, I think. I can't even remember anymore. But the week after that, I was supposed to go to Hanover to host a conference. And so I couldn't do all the work there, so that the scheduling got all, like, if the internet had failed while I was in Hanover, that would have been okay, right? But of course, that's not how things happen. So that pushed everything back. On top of that, I just had I got a tattoo done. I mentioned this, I think, in the last episode I recorded, that I would have that done. That was also like, when you have a really good tattoo artist, they're kind of really booked a lot of the time. So I was happy to get an appointment, but that appointment also fell into some work time, and I couldn't record did the one podcast on the Wednesday before that. I couldn't record on that, and so it all got together. Anyway, tattoo turned out great. I had it done. I wasn't actually planning to get a tattoo this quickly again, but it was kind of for my grandma who died early in the year. So that turned out really well. But that just got out of whack. Another episode I wanted to. You can tell it's a mess. Anyway, then I went to Hanover, which that worked well. Actually, I had I hosted a conference there. I was hosted some stages and stuff like that. Was pretty cool. Worked really well. I'm like the place they were. Total coincidence, but like the place they were running it at, like this company, I've never been there before. Some kind of like new work company. They usually do like recruitment videos and shit like that. They don't really do live events, but they had some scheduling problems of their own, so they switched to that place. So people who know me might know that I'm a Pittsburgh Penguins fan. And I come in there and there's like Penguins jerseys everywhere, and there's photos of the guy who owns the place with Mario Lemieux. So it turns out he has been to several of like the Lemieux Foundation charity games. And so I was like, why is this all Penguins? And so we got into talking, and he learned that I'm a Penguins fan. So that was fun. Actually, really nice guy. When I left, he gave me a puck he played with Mario Lemieux at one of these games, which is pretty amazing. But anyway, so that worked out well. But everything, all the scheduling, I pushed everything till after the event that I could. So everything, overflowed and everything went to shit. Long story short, today on Monday is actually the first time I actually can do podcast. Well, I could have actually technically, I had time on the weekend, but I was so dead. After all of that, after the traveling and everything, it was everything was really stressful. Like my wife on Sunday, I was like, I need to record a podcast now. My wife looks at me and says, I think you shouldn't do that. And she was completely right. That would have not been a good thing to do. So today, this is why I'm here now, and I'm doing this, and I know I'm now even more behind than when I said I was gonna catch up. I'm aware of that. I'm still gonna try. I don't know how, but I don't know if I can actually push out as many episodes as I promised. So once a week for the year, 52 episodes in the year. I don't know if I can do that, but I will do my utmost to get as close as possible. And I'm hoping, it's getting really cold outside now. Winter's coming and all that. that now I have more time. In the winter months, usually I have more time for this kind of thing. So maybe that'll work out. Indie gaming access to 2 artists are like car mechanics. You worry when you can book the same day. Yes, no, I've never been to a tattoo artist where I could book these guys I had work done by. They always have like a half a year lead time, sometimes even more, sometimes a year. The only I usually get an appointment quicker. But that's only because, I book an appointment like a year off or whatever. And then I tell them, dude, I'm a freelancer. If somebody drops an appointment, here's my number. Just give me a ring. Chances are, even if it's tomorrow, I can make it happen. And that's usually how I how I get early appointments. Because there's always people, who are sick or, something happens. You can't, And some people decide on the last moment, no, I don't want a tattoo anyway. Oh, no, oh my God, no. So, yeah, I'm usually relatively lucky with that because I'm kind of flexible. But anyway, that's how the whole disaster unfolded. Now I need a drink. My mouth is all dry. I haven't podcasted in too long. My body's not used to it anymore. Anyway, I'm kind of hoping with the cold months approaching, I can catch up. Maybe not completely, but I'll give my best, okay? And before we get into the actual topic here, one more thing I want to say. I want to thank all the producers who have been supporting me throughout this time and, have been left their Patreon active and all of that. Even though I'm not publishing as many episodes as I said I would, but it really helps. I'm really appreciative of this. Thanks to all of you. Anybody who's pitching in, thanks to all of you. Especially in these times where, everything I buy and do is like 3 times as expensive, and I can't really raise my my own hourly wage that much because, the people I work for don't pay that. So it's kind of, it helps. Thanks a lot. Thanks, everybody. Anyway, with that, let's get into the actual topic here. Which we'll call Commander Sterling versus the Domina Dev. And if you think that sounds like clickbait, right? It does kind of sound like a superhero amazing superhero drama. So you'd think it's clickbait in this context. I don't think it is. I think it actually delivers. If you haven't heard the story, it delivers differently than you would think, but it does. So to start off, let me explain. There's a video game critic in the UK called Jim Sterling, and I've always really liked his work. I think he used to write for, was it The Escapist, I think at some point, Destructoid, whatever. Anyway, he had a YouTube channel, Jimquisition, and, he still has a YouTube channel, obviously. And I always liked his work. Probably my favorite game critic from the UK after Total Biscuit died. I did a really weird typo in the show notes, which I'm gonna have to fix right away here. Sorry. Before I forget about this, people who listen to the show a lot will know that I do this. What did I write? I wrote one of my favorite. Actually, in this case, talking about Total Biscuit, I don't know. In case of Jim's, probably would be that far off the mark. Anyway, Total Biscuit, rest in peace. I really like that guy. Anyway, Jim Sterling, really cool. Always had respect for like his works writing. He's just like really irreverent. Has this like no nonsense attitude, and always says what they think, which I really like. Well, it turns out that Jim Sterling isn't Jim Sterling anymore. Jim Sterling is now James Stephanie Sterling. Had a gender transition, which is fine by me. It's going to complicate this podcast, and I hope I get all the pronouns right. So if I don't, this is not an insult. It's just me being old-fashioned and it all being really complicated. But anyway, I'm gonna call them Stephanie from now on, or maybe Commander Sterling, because that's really cool. So just so you know, the YouTube channel is still called Jim Sterling, and I think that's why James Stephanie Sterling, whatever. Speaking of Commander Sterling, so I obviously realized, I watched the videos once in a while. They crop up in my YouTube feeds. I've watched some of their videos, so I knew about the gender transition and that. And then at some point I realized that they also now have a professional wrestling career. So, James Stephanie Sterling's also wrestling in the UK as Commander Sterling, which is kind of hilarious in a silver shark kind of shark skin looking bodysuit with like a star as the face mask, like kind of lucha libre style. I mean, what the fuck? But also, why not? You do you. Anyway, so probably because of this whole now being gender binary, Stephanie in their YouTube channel has switched. I wouldn't say switched. They're still doing games criticism, but a lot of it has migrated to covering stuff like marginalized groups in video gaming and stuff like that, which I think is probably it's natural if you're going through something like this. If you have changed like that in your life, you're interested in all of that, so it's gonna affect your content, which I think it's totally fine. It's just, for me, has caused me to not watch as many of those videos because I wasn't really that interested. It's just not something that affects me personally, and I was looking kind of for video game critic content that kind of, aligns with obviously the stuff I'm interested in, the games I play, the problems I have. This whole changing your pronouns, having all this kind of stuff just doesn't factor into my life. I don't have any friends who had this experience. I don't have this experience, so it just didn't really interest me. So I kind of lost track of Stephanie's YouTube channel. It happens. I guess that's also, I think that's also perfectly normal and just happens. But recently, there were, of course, two videos, especially the second one, which really ignited a big, wouldn't even say controversy. It just caused a general stir in the gaming community. And this is the stuff we're going to talk about today. I had to preface all of this because otherwise it would be very maybe confusing to people who know, Commander Sterling as Jim Sterling, or who the fuck is Commander Sterling? Who's Stephanie? I had to explain that. And also it factors into the story that we are gonna discuss now. So what happens is reporting on general video game stuff, as they would do. Stephanie did a video. This was the first video on a that one I was talking about, on an indie game developer called, and this name, it's his name, Nicholas John Leonard Gorison, who's a guy from Canada, who also goes by Big Nick, who runs a gaming studio called Dolphin Barn. And he's published, this game's been out for several years. He's published a game called Domina, which is has nothing to do with kinky sexual practices. It's set in ancient Rome. Domina being the leader of a Roman household, like Dominus, Domina. And so it's a gladiatorial game. It's like kind of an 8-bit gladiatorial game. You are trying to advance this gladiatorial household, I guess. No idea. Anyway, this game's been out for a while. A while ago, this Gorison guy got into a bit of a mess with the gaming press because he used to put, or he used to, probably still does, he put political statements into his patch notes. And the first thing where people really noticed this, and his game got review bombed, and the gaming press wrote a lot about this, was when in patch notes he was quite outspoken against face masks. Now, I was almost gonna say funnily, which is not really funny, but the weird thing is I kind of on this point I kind of even agree with his stance, right? I don't like face masks either, which it's controversial. I don't agree with my own wife on this, so I think it's okay, right? You can have different opinion on these kind of things. Whether you think, I'm not saying the masks don't work. I'm like, we talked about this on the show before. Like, for me, it's generally a decision of like, how much do they work? Like, what are we trying to do in society? Like, how do we judge risks, basically? Like, for me, the risk, everybody wearing a face mask, the risk that protects you off, for me, is like negligible. And the actual, the thing that does with society, the actual impact that has in society, I think is really big. And it's really not like, I'm trying to put this delicately because it's a delicate topic. It's really not proportional for me, right? Which is a complete opinion. And I respect people who have the opposite opinion, right? I respect my wife, who has a very different opinion on this. But I think, if you're civilized adult people, you can have different opinions on this. And I actually didn't mind this guy's opinion. Now, what was really dumb was putting that in patch notes. Like, even if I agree with him, why the hell are you putting that in the patch notes of your game? First of all, I fucking hate developers who put funny or whatever things in patch notes. That's not what patch notes are for, right? Or like, I don't know, fucking Battlestate Games kind of does that, like trolls players, or like puts like new things, like basically features into patch notes, and the people taking the patch notes apart find it, and then it's all like a big thing, and it's of course great for publicity. Fucking hate that, right? Patch notes are patch notes. They're a technical document, and they should be written as such, but I'm old school. Anyway, you shouldn't put fucking political, like, if you don't like masks, I mean, he has a Twitter account, just talk about it on Twitter or whatever you like, but why are you putting it in your game patch notes? That's really dumb, right? And it's especially dumb because, I mean, doing that in a vacuum would be dumb. Doing that in the gaming industry, which is covered by a section of the press that is, most of it is very, like, all press is biased. We talked about this before. But, like, many, many games journalists are at least, especially in the US, are biased into, like, a more progressive left direction, which is just as it is. That's, it's not even criticism for me. That I'm not even criticizing that. That's just the way it is. And you got to know that. So it's kind of stupid picking that fight, right? It's like, it's incredibly stupid. But that's not everything. Of course, things got dumber. Things at Dolphin Barn Studios even got dumber, because obviously he did that. This got covered in the press. And then Stephanie Sterling did a video, right? And talked about this and about the dumb shit this guy puts in his patch notes. I was almost going to say show notes. If you talk about political things in your podcast, that can go into your show notes. That's very different. Anyway, so, Stephanie did a video about this, and they basically called him like the dumbest developer on Steam or whatever. Of course, this triggered him. This triggered this guy. And now he did something even dumber than putting dumb shit in his show notes. He tried to fucking start an argument with Sterling on Twitter, which is incredibly dumb because, Sterling's the press, right? And you don't do that. Let me tell you, I'm a journalist. You don't do that. Yeah, Steam's most unlikable developer is what they said in the video. That's right, Indie. This is right on Indie's Indie Gameax, in his wheelhouse, I would think. Anyway, so which actually, this might be interesting. So maybe we get some comments later on when I get to the what this means for Steam and for, that'll be for gaming and for consumers. That might be interesting. Not that I want to put indie on the spot here, but if just let me know live, or if you want to write it down, send me an email, whatever. I'd be happy to even discuss this further. But let's get through the story first. Where was I? Anyway, trying to pick a fight with a journalist on Twitter is really dumb, because generally picking a fight with a journalist, because what you're doing is, you're the subject of the story. You're just giving them more ammunition, right? And Sterling, being an old hand at this game, promptly went ahead and used this ammunition for several broadsides, which they fired off in the second video, which is hilarious. That's the first video I saw. Got some real whoppers in it. Sterling, by whatever first name or rank, has always been good at this. So he's like, giving journalist ammunition is a bad idea. Giving somebody like Stephanie Sterling ammunition is even dumber. Great video. Anyway, now comes the real. So you think, okay, at some point this Gorison guy's got to learn that he's just digging his hole deeper, right? But of course he doesn't. So the next thing he does is, what do you think happened? Right. He puts shit in his patch notes. So in the next patch, he fucking basically, takes a shot at, transgender people in his fucking patch notes, right? Obviously aimed at Sterling's videos. How dumb can you be? Really, right? So obviously what happened is, because he was attacking transgender people in his patch notes, he got banned from Steam. Like him and his game. Which is actually quite, I would say quite an achievement, because usually Valve doesn't really ban people, that easily. Like, they don't really mess with, like, even with controversy. It's like takes a lot for them to actually step in and do something, which in this case they did quite quickly. And it turned out they had warned the guy before, because obviously, the shit in the patch notes had already been noticed. People had review bombed this game because of that. People obviously complained, and apparently Steam warned him that if he ever did something like that ever again, they would like sever their business connection, which is what they did. And they cut the game off Steam, like completely delisted it. It's gone. Which, I mean, as far as I can tell, when something like this happens, you can, if you own the game, you can still play it, right? If it's in your library, it's not like they delete it out of your library, which would be even worse. But, you can't get any updates, you don't get any patches, you don't get any further content, which is kind of, if you like the game, it's kind of shitty. So the guy's now selling it on Gumroad, apparently, and I guess you'd have to, if you want further updates, you have to go there, buy it again. No idea. Which is, if you disregard all of what we just talked about from a high level, is kind of a shame. Because the game actually, I mean, I've never played it, but, you read reviews of it, and before this, I mean, now you can't trust any reviews anymore. But, like, before this all happened, it actually isn't a half bad game, I gathered. So, obviously, I have links to all of this. There's also a link to a review in the show notes. If you go to privatecitizen.press, you can obviously read it all for yourself and make your own, form your own opinion, think about it for yourself, which is the goal of this podcast. And I support everybody who does that. And if you disagree, then please tell me about it. And I mean that. I value that kind of feedback. So before I get into what I think the problem with this whole situation is, let me make something very clear. I do think that, Sterling reporting on this is the right thing to do. That's the job of the press. This was legitimately news that he put shitty things like that in his patch notes. That's just a dumb thing to do. That is fair game to report on it. I think that's good. I also completely understand why Steam banned the game and the developer. They have their terms of service. They're obviously well within their right to do so. I'm not objecting against any of this. But I still think this whole thing is bad. This whole thing is bad for consumers because the developer's really dumb and put shitty things in their patch notes, right? But why should you care, right? I mean, you can, if you want to, you can care. I'm not saying you should ignore that. If you're that kind of gamer and this kind of shit triggers you and you're like, okay, I might like this game, but now I know that it's from somebody who I think is a shitty human being who develops it, so I don't want to support it anymore. Don't delete it from your library. Give it a negative review. I don't think review bombing is a good idea, but if it's legitimate, if you have a legitimate grievance, why not voice it? Like, what's the problem with that? But there are other gamers who don't care about that kind of thing, who just want. They like the game because they like the game. They don't even read the patch notes. They don't give a shit what the developers think. I tend to be a person like that personally because I don't really care if I play a video game and I like it, I don't really care what the politics of the developer are. Why should I? They're just, to me, when it comes to politics, they're just like normal human beings, right? They're not in the government. I didn't vote for them. They don't influence my life. As long as it doesn't impact the game, I don't care. If they start putting it in the game and I object to it, that's something different, right? If I personally find that very annoying. If I play a game and it's always more okay, let me rephrase that. If I play a game and somebody, like a developer, clearly puts their political beliefs into a game and it's really on the nose, it's really dumb and on the nose, I think that's very annoying. And that actually gets me off playing some of these games. It's always more annoying, of course, if it's the other side of whatever you're on, right? Let's take masks, right? I really don't like masks. If somebody put that in a game and they're like pro masks and it's like everywhere and it's like really on the nose, that would be annoying. If it would be anti-mask, because I'm kind of a little bit anti-mask in some cases, I would kind of probably find that funny, but that's always the way it is, right? Even if it was on the nose and bad, right? So that's always like your bias. That's just the way it goes. I don't object to it if it's, politics is everywhere, right? Politics is part of everything we do. So it's also part of games. And it's part of stories. And if you put it in a story in a clever way, right? And you make it part of the story, like there is really interesting and subtle observations on modern politics or generally on politics in lots of content. That's really well done, right? Game of Thrones is full of like interesting observations on politics through the history of mankind, kind of transposed on Westeros. Even though I don't, I'm not really, I've never gotten through the first book, but it's really well done. Terry Pratchett was a master in putting certain things like wit and political observations into stories in a really funny way that adds to the story, right? And if it's done that way, if it's done really well, it doesn't even chafe. It's like if it's completely the opposite opinion of what you personally think, because it's just well made part of the story. I don't really object to that. I object to when it's like, on the nose and really bad. And like modern TV shows have a way of doing that. Star Trek Discovery, for example, right? That's why I object to a lot of that, because like in science fiction, especially Star Trek, has always been, there's another example, it's always been about commenting on political issues of the time, but transposing them into a situation where it makes you think, just because it's lifted out of your everyday life, right? There's a great episode. This precedes when we're talking about gender and non-binary and transgender and all this kind of issues. This transcends all of that shit. There's like a Star Trek: The Next Generation episode. It's probably still from the 80s, I think. I think it's a pretty early season. It's like the end of the 80s, early 90s, where Riker goes to a planet and falls in love with someone, and then it turns out that on the planet they don't have a gender, right? And this person then says, "But I do feel like I'm female," and then they get prosecuted for it, and Riker falls in love with her, and it's like very subtly and well executed. I mean, there's Star Trek where it isn't like, you can, for example, you can have a you can create a Star Trek episode where you basically take the Nazis and xenophobia and transpose that and have like 2 planets, for example, or something like this, right? The Enterprise goes somewhere, there's 2 planets, and on one planet there's basically there's rich people, and they're all like they get all like all the sun, because that's how the solar system works, and the other planet is just like in the dark most of the time, and they're all poor people, and they have like, I don't know, bright skin because they live in the dark, and then the other people are like tanned, the rich people, but they're like kind of have prejudices against white-skinned people, and then they use them as slave labor or whatever. Like, you could basically transpose the political problems of Nazi Germany into that and make it really subtle. Or you can have a Star Trek, the original series episode, where they beam down and everybody's walking around in SS uniforms for some fucking reason, right? That's the shitty way to do that. And Star Trek has done that badly in the past. But generally, especially from Next Generation onwards, Star Trek has been known to do this really subtle and really well. And then you have something like Star Trek Discovery, where they're just on the nose, and where like it's a scene and they're talking about, I don't know, warp plasma, and suddenly the engineer goes, "Oh, by the way, I'm pansexual," like twice in like a 20-second scene. And you're like, why did she say that? I mean, nice, good. I like pansexual people, but like, why? Like, that was really on the nose. That was really dumb. That was really shitty writing. So that is usually stuff I object to. What I'm trying to explain is, I'm not against having politics in media, in video games, in TV shows. That is everything's politics, right? My politics teacher at university used to say, any place where there's more than 2 people together, you got politics. And if you ever played the board game Diplomacy, you'll understand. But anyway, so politics is everywhere. The difference is, how do you use it? How, like, is it are you creating whatever you're creating just to push your political message on somebody? Or are you being clever with it, right? And are you maybe even open? The thing about these, when you do it well, like these Star Trek episodes, when they're done well, is it's not on the nose, and it's not like, this is the right way. They always make you think. They always open the other opportunity as well. The best of these episodes are when they do like a Nazi Germany kind of situation, right? When they do a societal problem like this, and then they make you think. They open up the possibility that maybe some of the, like, it's okay, Nazis may be a bad example, but like, I'm gonna go with it just for the sake, they open it up and they ask, maybe some of that was understandable or was even right. I mean, with the Nazis, probably wasn't. Like, I need another example. If you go, Okay, what's controversial? I should have prepared that. Well, I need a drink anyway, so maybe I can think. But like, it's always that, you know, the typical Spock problem is the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, right? And you can that's always the thing. Many people, especially if they're from an Anglo-Saxon cultural background, because like this kind of thinking in philosophy has been very prevalent over there, tend to agree with. But then you can build the, yes, of course, you know, if one person dies to save like 500, that is justified, right? But then you can put a twist in that and kind of make the viewer think if the one person that dies is a character they really love, right? And then you get some good entertainment. Then it starts getting interesting when you ask these stories, right? When you put this thing in, Astral Sea actually says MAGA, make America great again. Yeah, I mean, you know, you could have a Trump, you know, during Trump, right? You could have a science fiction episode where it's like it's a planet and it's clearly Trump, right? And it's like he does all, like this guy does all these shitty things and he's a dumb guy. But like one of his ideas is, okay, that other planet who's basically building up to just like fuck us over the whole time, right? Basically, you make a like a China, like, you know, is maybe an economic war against them maybe a good idea? Could that lead to some good things, right? Aren't they like spying on us? Shouldn't we shut that down? Something like this. Like you make people think. That's really like interesting. Like, you know, that's when it gets cool. It doesn't get cool if you put fucking stupid things in your patch notes, right? If you want to put this kind of thing in your game, be smart about it. I don't know how you do it with the mass, but he's got like a game. So this game, for example, right? This Domina game is set in Roman times, and you can have a lot of fun with that. Like you can challenge a lot of people's expectations, especially if you have like very you know, very like the let's say one of these progressive gaming outlets in the press who are, you know, very, very progressive and stuff like that. The Romans, basically our whole, like if you're in Europe, you know, Western European civilization is based on Rome, right? Our laws, you know, the way we write laws, the way we enforce laws, our democracy, like the way we run states, you know, I mean, the reason it's called a Senate in the US, right? All of that is built on Rome. Like Rome is to our culture like the apex. That was like the precursor. That was like civilization. Then it fell apart in the Middle Ages, and in the Renaissance we built it all back up again, right? But Rome also, while being the cradle of, let's say, democracy, also had slavery, right? And didn't have voting rights for women, or even for old men, you know, or even for, you know, if you were from a colony, you know, that just got like assimilated into Rome, they made you Romans, but you couldn't vote, right? So there's all these interesting facets in this kind of thing where you can draw parallels to modern times, and then you can, if you're smart, you can make political statements without these fuckers at Kotaku even realizing, because they're not smart enough. But the problem is that this guy wasn't smart either, so he couldn't have. You just put it shitty in the patch notes. And that's just what fucking drives me up the wall. I fucking hate that. And it's not only in this instance, I think, it's in modern media. It's everywhere, right? It's in this shit like Rings of Power. You know, this fan baiting shit. If you don't know what I'm talking about, put a link in the show notes. Province is not pressed, to a video by the Critical Drinker who explains this very well. It's basically when modern, or when new TV show comes out and they're basically just making like diversity of the cast like their whole advertising thing, to stir up a controversy between people who don't like that they're black female dwarfs and people who love it. And then there's a Twitter fight and that gets exposure. And all this fucking shit, who the fuck cares? Sometimes, I'm right. I actually wrote a review about Rings of Power, right? And I'm like looking at, like, not because I want to, I know what to I know what to think, but like you write, I actually wrote the review and I didn't want to be too influenced by other reviews. So I stopped reading other reviews and then I wrote my review. And then once it was filed, I went and, went on the internet for half a day and see, let's see what other people think about this. Was I completely wrong? Was I right? And the whole internet is full of this bullshit about like, the cast is diverse and there's some Nazis who hate it and the people who like it are the best people in the world. I'm like, who gives a fuck? That's not the point of a review of a TV show. The point of the review of a TV show is to tell the viewer, is it actually good? Do I want to see it? Right? I don't give a fuck if the dwarf lady's black. I want to know if she's a good actor. And if she's saying lines that make sense. And if they fucking filmed it in a good way. Right? And it doesn't look like fucking House of the Dragon, which looks like episode 1, where they're all in front of green screens and don't know what they're doing. That's the shit I want to know. But sometimes I feel like I'm the only fucking last guy in the world who writes about this, because everybody else is just like about dumb identity politics that you can talk about, but everybody's talking about it all the time anyway. I don't want to have that in my review. That's not what the review was for. Write a column about this. I don't mind that. But like it's getting fucking everywhere and it's getting ridiculous. I know there's political shit everywhere, but like just because that is the case, why are you putting it in your fucking entertainment product, especially if it makes your fucking entertainment product shit, right? If you want a recent example of how to do this, if you want to write a story, read The Expanse. There's a lot of there's even identity politics in that thing. And it's just integrated into the world and it's not on the nose, and it's just like in the show later on they did a bit too much on the nose. But in the books, it's just part of the world and it's really well done. And if it makes you think. And some people, it just doesn't make it. Some people can't make think, and they just read it, and it's okay. That's the way to do it. You don't need to get all this shit right. It just turns everything to shit, and it makes everything worse for the consumer, right? This doesn't make your product better, right? If Amazon had spent this whole energy they'd spent on fucking this PR campaign for the fan baiting, if they had just spent that on something productive, their show would have been better. It's not a bad show, but it would have been even better. It's just so infuriating. And then if you're, to get back to our example here, if you're a company like Valve, right? You're completely in your right to censor that game of Steam, but why? Why? They're grown-up people on your fucking platform, and if they care about this guy putting shit into his patch notes, then they, just let them sort it out. Let the people, if enough people don't like that shit and don't buy his game because of it, it's not going to be successful. And if people don't care, then people don't fucking care. They're adults. They have a right to play this right. I don't mean a right as in legally enforceable towards Steam. What I'm saying is, within the framework of our laws and our constitution, and how I understand them, at least, in Germany, in the US, in the UK, and in Australia, the kind of the countries I generally understand, these people have a right to just enjoy their fucking entertainment and don't give a damn what this guy writes in his patch notes, as long as that's not illegal, right? If it's illegal, right? So in Germany, for example, if you'd be spouting Nazi propaganda and using Nazi flags in your patch notes, that would be illegal, but that wouldn't be fucking Steam's. I mean, Steam would have to pull it anyway, but that's dumb. We talked about that on previous episodes. Generally, that wouldn't be in the purview of Steam. That would be criminally relevant, and the actual police, or in Germany, actually the intelligence service, the domestic intelligence service would actually come knocking at your door. Like, that's, or they should. That's kind of their job. If I like it or not. That's who should deal with this shit. And anything below that, who gives a fuck? We're adults. This fucking, sorry, I'm getting worked up here, but this kind of annoys me. Like this kind, it doesn't. The thing is, it doesn't make the world any better, right? That's why I named this episode. Doing the right thing is not always the right thing. You're trying to do the right thing, and it looks to you like you're just making the world better, but it's not actually. Like this censorship of this shit of like in game stores, like putting this bullshit in people's entertainment. What you actually do, you're not helping. You're not helping the situation, right? You're not making people understand. You're just dividing the world even more into different camps. And the thing is, this is kind of new, at least in my lifetime. This is not how it always used to be, right? And it's not like the world wasn't divided, right? Think about the Cold War. The world was at that point very divided between, capitalism and socialism. And yes, that of course got reflected in media, and good science fiction, for example, talked about this from both sides, from the Soviet side and from the US side, basically, and had really good commentary on that. But it wasn't pervading everything else, right? It wasn't like your whatever, like in the Cold War, whenever you sat down, literally, I mean, the news, of course, were full of this, but like literally any fucking book or TV show was like more or less overtly about the Soviets are evil in the West. I mean, I can't speak for in Soviet Russia. I think their propaganda was such that it probably was the other way. But exactly, that's like, we don't want to get there, right? I feel like we're on a way where we don't have a state-run propaganda office that checks everything and censors everything and puts like, socialism is great and capitalism is evil into everything. We're doing it ourselves. We're fucking self-censoring. We're dividing ourselves. And I don't know how it's gotten to that point, and I don't understand why people want this. Like, why does the press, why do people like the gaming press like that? And it's like, we talk about review bombing, right? When it's like, when like a game, to stay with like the topic we're at, like if there's a game and like it has like a, at the beginning it has a character creator, and then it has like a non-binary, it has non-binary options, right? There's been games that have been review bombed because of that from like, conservative people who don't like that, which I think is totally shit. And then the gaming press rightly calls that out and says that is shit. But when it happens the other way around, when games get review bombed because they have a binary thing, then the gaming press almost applauding it, right? And that's just like these fucking double standards. This destroys everything. It's bad in both directions. And there shouldn't be review bombs, and people actually really shouldn't talk. Like, let the game, if the game developer wants to have a character creator, we can have a penis and a vagina and nothing else, let them, why not? It's their fucking game. You don't have to like it, you don't have to fucking play it, right? And then if another game developer goes like, okay, we want to have non-binary, and you can have pronouns, and you can have whatever you want, 15 legs, 3 penises on your head, a vagina on your nose, who gives, like, let them do it. If people like it, like, what happened to our society that we have to have like this kindergarten reaction to everything. Like, oh, it's bad. We need to censor it because it will mean that people are. What voice is this? You know, we have to censor it because it's wrong, and then the kids will start growing up. Like, what? Haven't we learned, like, the West won the Cold War, right? We weren't on this side of it. We were the ones where we didn't have state-run. I mean, there was always propaganda, but, you know, we didn't have completely controlled state-run propaganda. And literally that is what won the Cold War, right? There's a good argument to be made that the Soviet Union failed because the state lied, like, you know, even pathologically lied to their citizens. And then when things like Chernobyl happened, you know, people were like, this doesn't fly, right? And that's why that state failed. So we were on the other side, and the West basically won this because we didn't do this whole this censoring, this turning every aspect of your life into a political statement, like they did in the Soviet Union, or they tried, or like the Nazis tried in the Third Reich. That's not a good thing to do. Don't people see that we're kind of doing that to ourselves now? That's like the antithesis of, democracy. And people will probably laugh at me because I got to all of this from a fucking video game. But I think it's kind of it's just one example, right? You can pick anything. As I said, you can pick TV shows. It's the same thing. Terrestrius Jim says, well, if you look at the 80s or the 90s, or at 80s or 90s movies, it is clear that the bad guys are Russian. Post 9/11, the bad guys are Taliban. So it kind of was like that before. Well, there was always media like this. And what you are referring to is, mostly action movies. Yes, of course. I mean, that was always, but that's kind of the shitty. That's like what I said, like the kind of the shitty Star Trek episode. That's like the on the nose thing, but that's not my favorite movies from the time, right? The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is from the Cold War, and it actually does. It has some reflections on the Cold War. It actually it has like Nazi concentration camps in it. Basically, it has many political observations, but they're very well, like they're very subtle. They're very well done. Or like one of my other favorite movies is a German one, Das Boot, where I don't know who's the bad guys in this. Like the main characters are all Nazis. So I think why I agree with you that was always a thing. It is still not all like it's even the most stereotypical action movie, like starring, I don't know, Arnold Schwarzenegger from the fucking 80s, right? Where the bad guys are Russian. It's like, okay, the bad guys are Russian. But it's not like as on the nose. Like, it's not the guy's not talking about, like, unless it's a parody, he's not talking about, like, socialism all the time and how, like, I mean, there is this, like, capitalism thing, but it's, like, always almost tongue-in-cheek, right? I still feel like today it's much worse, but maybe that's just my perception, right? But I guess you have a point, Jim, that it's not like this is something completely new. I think you're right. I think it's always been something that's been in society. And I mean, I kind of always chafed at that. Like I kind of the stereotypical American movie after World War II where the Nazis are just evil. Never liked those kind of movies because I always think they were way too simplistic. And the more interesting thing, like the interesting thing when you're dealing with Nazis is not something that is as as dumb as Inglourious Bastards, right? The good movies about Nazi Germany is a thing like Der Untergang, right? Where you actually you're kind of confronted with Hitler and how those last days unfolded, and that like really makes you think. Like that movie really makes you think about like how people reacted and how propaganda worked and all that kind of stuff, right? Yeah, but anyway, I think it. We can have a discussion. Actually, this is something I'd be really interested in hearing from listeners what they think about that. And I'm going to talk about that in a bit, but I'm actually prepping for a feedback only episode. So if you get some things about this, please send me an email or post in the forum. Details are in private. This is not press. I'll get to that in a bit, but like I'd be really interested in discussing this even more, right? It is not just the who is the bad guy. It is the 10-minute hero monologue on why the bad guy is bad in modern media, says Astro C. Yeah, it's like it's almost like I watch this stuff and I'm like, is this made for, like some of these movies? I think like, are these made for like 10-year-old children? Like, so for example, the Ghostbusters movie where they were all the Ghostbusters are ladies, is like the dialogues in that are just bad. I mean, they're just bad. They're just like so. Like, okay, our premise is this movie. We have this movie which is a classic where like all the heroes are men, and we want to make them all women, and now we make an episode where they're all women. Makes sense. That's a premise you can have. I'd rather have seen original movie, but all right, if that's what you can manage, then you go with that. And then you go, okay, you make them all kick-ass women, and then you keep it at that, and you have them kick ass, not monologue like for minutes about how men are bad. It's like, we get it, we got this. You made them all women, they all kick ass. Now all the men are dumb. I can see that. That's the way you wrote the story. Now we don't have to also talk about how the men are dumb, right? I mean, I get that American movies are made for dumb people, but this is just getting way too. It's just so, you can't even take it. It's so bad. Where at least in the 80s they were funny. At least they were funny about this shit. They were like obviously tongue in cheek. What is this fucking movie where Arnold Schwarzenegger is like a Russian cop and they're like in Moscow? I think they even filmed that in Moscow, and he has like this horrible. He can't talk, like he can't even talk English, so he just like talks Austrian German and it rolls the R, and everybody's like, oh yeah, that's Russian. oh wow, yeah, terrible film, says Indie Gaming. Actually, yeah, but it's tongue in cheek. They kind of fucking knew that, right? I mean, it's. No way did they make this movie and went like, yeah, so this is gonna be serious on like, this is how Russians are, right? Whereas like I don't think that Ghostbusters movie is a parody on like how, like, I don't know, these strong female characters are actually not strong female characters because they're actually talking shit all the right? They didn't mean, I think they meant that seriously. Whereas this Schwarzenegger, is it called Red something? Red Menace? I don't know. Like, you watch that movie and it starts with like the scene when they're in a sauna or whatever. Like, it's obviously not like, it's, the whole thing is fucking tongue in cheek. Or like, what's it? Hans Gruber in Die Hard is fucking tongue in cheek, right? That's not we're making serious social commentary here. It's a dumb action movie. Whereas today they make movies where they think it's serious social commentary, and the dialogues are just fucking bad. Or some fucking developer puts like shit in their fucking patch notes. Like, how do you even think that influences them? How is that a good idea? If you have that message, right? If you have that political message and you want to get it out in a good way. Right? Don't like fucking put it in your patch notes, put it in your game in an intelligent way, or go on Twitter or make a podcast. Right? I can't make games, so what I do is I try to articulate this shit in a way that I hope people understand, and that's the way I do it. But like I'm not writing a shitty like video game and shoehorning it into the patch notes or something. Indie Gaming says, I'd rather watch a film with women in it, but the acting and dialogue was so terrible it ruined it. See, for me, I don't care. I don't care if there are women in it or men or whatever. Or I don't care what fucking pronouns they have. I just want to see a good movie, right? And I agree that it would be good to have more representation, especially in movies and TV shows. But the only thing I'm saying is it has to still be good content, right? I don't want, as a consumer, what they're doing today, a lot of companies, and this is not only like in entertainment, they're producing a mediocre product and then they're just selling it to you based on, but we cast a black guy or black woman in that. I don't fucking care. I think it's nice if there's more black women in TV shows or whatever. It's good, but it still has to be a good TV show, right? That's like car companies selling you a shitty car and then go, but it's electric. Yeah, but I can only it doesn't do what my other car does. Yeah, but it's electric. It's good for the planet. Or like they're selling you some shit. It happens all the time. They sell you. Actually, I want to do a show on this. I think I've written that down somewhere. Like a lot of the time now they're selling you a product and then the selling point has nothing to do with the fucking product. It's just like, is this a good yogurt? I don't know, but the packaging is friendly to the brand. I don't fucking care. I want a good yogurt. Right? Or there's like some fucking, for a while there was like on YouTube, I got this ad all the time. I got so annoyed. It was like I think it was a Levi's ad for fucking jeans. And they were going on, we will make the planet great. Make the planet great. Everybody's happy. That was literally the ad. And I'm like, what the fuck? If you're trying to sell me jeans, you go like, okay, so these are really good trousers. They're hard wearing, they're not too expensive, and they're made locally, and we don't torture people to death while they make them. That's the selling point. Talk about the fucking product. Not our spokesperson for this product is overweight, black, female, and in a wheelchair, and also transgender and a pants. I don't give a fuck. I want to know if your yogurt is good, you know. And this is the same with games. Like I want a good video game. Fuck off. Yogurt gate. Anyway, that's it for me on this. What do you think? I want to know what you think. I really want to know what you think. I mean, should there be this kind of politics in this kind of stuff? Like in game reviews, if it has really nothing to do with the game you're playing? Like this is something that happens a lot now, where like in the game review, they're writing about the developer. They're like, what? I don't care. I mean, yeah, if it's Activision Blizzard and they're shitty to their employees, or Ubisoft or any other big company, that's a story. Right? Write a story about that. But if I want to play the new Assassin's Creed game, really, I want to know, do I want to play the new Assassin's Creed game? Is there like fucking map markers everywhere? Are those annoying me? I don't know I want to know how they treated the employees that made the game. That is a story that I can read if I'm interested in that. But right now I'm interested in, should I buy this $60 video game? Is it going to annoy me with shitty sequences where I'm in the Ubisoft office all of a sudden? That's what I want to know. Do you think that as well? Or am I full of shit? Please tell me, because I'm trying to do an episode again. I did this before. I kind of like it, where I just do feedback. I'm compiling that, so please tell me. Go to privatecitizen.press. There's a producer feedback section, and you all producers, if you pitch in somehow, and that could be by telling me I'm full of shit. But please also tell me why, because Fab, you're full of shit is I've heard this over the last, I don't know, was it now 15 years? No, how long have I been podcasting? My brain doesn't work. I don't know. How long have I been podcasting? Oh, this is the point where I think I need to get a calculator out because my brain is so fucked. I've been podcasting for 16 years. No, thank you. Thank you, calculator. Yeah, so what was I gonna say? Oh, Fab, you're full of shit gets old. I've been doing that for 60 years. 60? 16. I'd be more interested if you say because, or you have your own, kind of take on that. That would be interesting. Also not on this episode. If you listen to any of the other episodes recently, well, the many I've released. I know. Just let me know. I just like to hear from you guys. It's all I'm saying. Indie Gaming Access. I think I first heard you in 2007. Yeah, that was I did a podcast before that. We started Linux Outlaws in 2007. You've been with me for a long time. That's 15 years. That's like almost like being married. Well, actually, that's longer than I'm married. That is scary. Let's not talk about that anymore. Let's talk about if you still like to listen to me, you can help me out. And this, I don't mean Indie Gaming X, because Indie's already doing it. But you can become a producer by helping out and by giving interesting feedback on the show, giving me ideas. If you have topics you want me to cover, please do that as well. I have a very long list, but new ideas always help. Tell me what you like, what you don't like, and you can also give me money, which helps in these times where energy prices are now 30% more expensive, and I have a very big graphics card that I unwisely bought in my PC, and I've turned the heating off because I heard that's the patriotic thing to do now. So we're not heating. I'm just heating with my graphics card. Luckily, that graphics card's producing a lot of heat, but it's also using a lot of power. So if you pitch in, it helps. It helps more than ever now, because I'm starting to like not sleep at night, because I'm like, how can I survive? At least my wife has a salary. That's like I would be underrich if that wasn't the case. Anyway, I don't want to, if you want to pitch in, you can. Private Citizen Press. You can pitch in on Patreon. You can use PayPal. You can email me if there's other ways you want to contribute. Please let me know. And thank you very much to all the people who have been doing this, especially in the times where I haven't been releasing episodes, which was recently. So thanks a lot to Galtaran, Rodane the Insane, Steve Hose, Butterbeans, Michael Small, 1I11G, Jonathan M. Hetai, Michael Mullen Jensen, Michael Mullen Jensen. You can't do Irish. What did that man think? You can't do Irish and Danish. He probably can. Dave, Jaroslav Lichtblau, Jackie Plage, Sandman616, IKN, Bennett Piata, Vlad, Rizal, Avis, Joe Poser, Dirk Didi, Fadi Mansour, Kai Sears, David Potter, Mika, Cam, Mr. Ramish, Captain Neckhead, RJ Tracy, Robert Forster, Rick Bragg, Ricky M, Barry Williams, Jonathan, Crunkle, Estel C, Superuser D, and Florian Pigorsch. And also thanks to my Twitch subscribers: Michael Dane, PKmer, Bacon the Pork, Redeemer F, Galtaran, Jonathan 4747, Indie Gaming X, and MTE Sauro, because these people also help. Because obviously I'm streaming this on Twitch, and you can, if you have Amazon Prime, you can actually subscribe for free on one channel. And if you choose me, you're helping me out. So thanks a lot. Indie Gaming says, "Oh, didn't notice you had a Patreon. I shall join." What? Where's my card? You're already helping out. You didn't notice I have a Patreon? I say this every episode. I think I need to say this more. By the way, I have a Patreon. There's a link in the show notes. Private Citizen Press. That goes to, I don't know. I think what's my name on Patreon? Fabsh? Probably. Yeah. It's patreon.com/Fabsh. Fabsh. Anyway, thanks everybody. Also thanks to Bytemark at bytemark.co.uk, British cloud hosting company. They are providing me with the bandwidth and the storage to send you these files, because if I had to pay for that as well, then I'd be bankrupt. I think I literally would be. So thanks to Bytemark. I appreciate it a lot. And that's it for me. I'll be back with another episode as soon as I can manage. I'm also trying to adjust my headphones and my glasses, which are kind of bothering me right now. I'll be back as soon as possible. But I don't know when that will be, but I'll try to. I just try to release. I'm not even gonna commit to the Wednesday release schedule going forward, because this week I can't manage. I have a good excuse though. Wednesday my wife turns 40, so I gotta fucking, have a bit of family time. But I'll try. I'll just try to get shit out now. For a while I won't even I'll try to do it on Wednesday as well, but I'll just try. I can't do any more. Indy, thank you for signing up for the Patreon. You did it after I named everybody, so you'll be in there for the next episode, which will come soon, I hope. Anyway, theme song for this show is called Acoustic Roots by Rul Kabzali, and I'm now gonna play you out with a song called April Showers by Big Girl. I kind of thought that was a cool name. Just newly released on Epidemic Sound. So here we go. April Showers by Big Girl. Aim to Misbehave. See you all soon, hopefully. that's pretty cool, isn't it? I really like that song. I just listened to that. I was like, that's some good lyrics and just nice music. Really cool. Hope you like that too. Anyway, I'm out of here now. I need to edit this podcast, get it out, and we're gonna rate Jonathan because Jonathan's online, which explains why he wasn't in fucking chat, which I'm gonna annoy him about in a little bit. And yeah, so we're gonna rate Jonathan, my friend Jonathan MH_com, who also supported this very broadcast. So let's rate him, and I'm gonna hang out in this chat while I edit this. He's playing Tarkov, of course. What else would he be doing? And yeah. See you soon. I'll be streaming the next episode. Hopefully, I can't say anything else. I don't know. I don't know when and what is happening. Anyway, see you soon, everybody. Thank you for watching.